Welcome! I'm going to show you how to edit the Onesie Mockup in Photoshop. So first of all, you want to be using this handy layers panel here. So if you don't see the layers panel, go to Window, Layers to bring it up. And then you want to click the arrow next to Onesie to expand the layer group. And you'll see a bunch of layers here. This layer that says Design -Onesie Front, if you double click the thumbnail icon, that'll open up a smart object for the front of the onesie. And then you can go to File, Open, and then find your design. And then go to Select All, then Edit, Copy, and click back on the Smart Object tab and go to Edit, Paste. If you needed to resize this, you could go to Edit, Free Transform. I'm going to press Command- to zoom out. It would be Control- on a PC. In newer versions of Photoshop, you just want to click and drag any of the four corners to resize it. In older versions, you used to have to hold down the Shift key to keep it proportional as you resized it. So if you see it getting distorted when you're resizing it, just go to Edit, Undo, and then do the opposite of whatever you were doing, whether that's holding down the Shift key or not holding it down. And then once you've got it sized, you can just go to File, Save, to save the smart object. And then you can just click back on the mockup, and you'll see it put it on the front of the onesie for us, just like that. You can also change the color of the whole onesie, so we'll click the eye icon next to the design layer to hide that. You just double click the thumbnail icon in the color-onesie layer, and that'll open up the color picker. You can just click anywhere in the rainbow slider to change the color, and then click in this gradiated box to change the lightness and darkness of that color. Or you can enter the color values here if you know them. And if you look at this More Design and Colors layer group, you can click the arrow next to it to expand that, and there's a whole bunch of different colors and designs you can change in here. You can change the color of the trim by double clicking the thumbnail icon. You could add a separate design for the left shoulder. You can change the color of the left shoulder. You've got the right shoulder right here, the left and right sleeves, the bottom of the onesie right here. You've even got the inside you can change. If you wanted it to look like there's just a little bit of the design showing through, you could click on the Design-Inside layer and then click the arrow next to opacity and just drag the slider to the left or the right to make the design semi-transparent, so it kind of looks like it's showing through the fabric, but it's not full opacity if that's something you want to do. You could enhance the shading on the onesie and make it more contrasty by clicking the eye icon next to More Shading-Onesie, and then clicking on the More Shading layer, and then clicking the arrow next to opacity and just dragging the slider to the right to make it more contrasty, or the left to make it a little more subtle. This has little snaps here where you can change their color by clicking the arrow next to Buttons, and then double clicking the thumbnail icon in the color-buttons layer. You can also remove the buttons if your onesie doesn't have little snaps on them, just by clicking the eye icon next to Buttons. So there are a lot of options in this mockup. You could adjust the lightness and darkness of the shadows that are underneath the onesie by clicking the arrow next to Shadows under Onesie, and then clicking on the cast shadow layer, clicking the down arrow next to opacity, and then just dragging the slider to the right to make it darker or the left to make it less pronounced. Depending on the mock-up you purchased, you may have different backgrounds. So you could click the arrow next to backgrounds and then just toggle through them if there are different backgrounds. You could also add your own by just turning off the backgrounds that are there and copying and pasting in your own. And that's all there is to editing the Onesie Mockup in Photoshop. When you're done, you can just save it. If you're going to be using this as a thumbnail on a website online, like on Etsy, you'll want to save a JPEG version. To do that, just go to File, Save As, and then in this drop-down menu next to Format, you can change the format to JPEG, and then just click Save. You could also come back there to File, Save As a second time, and then save a Photoshop format so you can retain the layers, maybe, changing the file name for each of your designs so you have a layered PSD file for each design. Please let me know if you have any questions by messaging me at melissabmockups.com, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you get updates to future videos. And as always, this mockup and other mockups are available at melissabmockups.com. Thank you.